Section 8.5 is more about how we can save money. So in 8.4, whenever you had compound interest and continuous interest, we found out what happened to our money if you just put a chunk in your bank account and just let it sit there and did nothing else. An annuity is different because what you do is you add money to your bank account every month. So an annuity is like how most people save their money. And so that's what we're going to talk about today, and also a little bit of stock markets. So an annuity is a sequence of equal payments made at equal time periods. So that means that you save however much money every month, or once a year you put some money into a bank account. The future value is the sum of all the deposits plus all the interest paid. So an annuity is going to grow faster than just a regular, like the interest that we were calculating in section 8.4, because you're adding a lot more money to it. So the future value of that annuity is all the money that you put in plus all the interest that you get paid from the bank. So here's our formula. You can use Excel to also do these problems. I will show you an example each way. So I'm going to show you this example with the calculator, and then the next example, there's going to be a link to an Excel video, and whichever one makes more sense to you is the one that you should do. If you like Excel better, do that. If you like the calculator better, do that. Either way is great. We just want to get the right answer. So let's look at this formula. We have seen all these letters before. A, P, R over N to the NT. All of these letters are familiar to us. It's just a different formula because we're talking about an annuity. So remember, in this exponent up here, we're going to need an extra set of parentheses. So go ahead and add those in if you want to. And let's talk about what all of these letters mean. So A is going to be the future value. So how much will you have in your account after however many years? P for this one is going to stand for payment, because remember, in an annuity, I'm not just putting a chunk of money into the account and letting it sit there. I'm putting money in every single month or every single year or every single day, however the problem is set up. So that payment amount is just how much money you're putting into the account. R, remember, is interest rate. And we got to move our decimal because we can't do math with a percent. So don't forget to move the decimal. N is the number of times per year you get interest. So that's the same as the last section that we did. Remember, you'll be looking for a word like monthly or daily or weekly or annually to tell you how many times per year you get interest. And then T is the number of years you're going to be saving. All right, let's do an example problem. So remember, this first one, I'll use the calculator. And then on example number 2, I'll go over to Excel and show you how to do it in Excel or Google Sheets. And you choose the method that works the best for you. So to save for retirement, you decide to deposit $1,000 into an IRA. This is a tax sheltered account. Remember, you would get to do some fun stuff with it for your income taxes at the end of each year for the next 30 years. If you can count on an interest rate of 10% per year, compounded annually, that's important, how much will you have after 30 years? All right, let's go find all our numbers. So I'm going to deposit $1,000 at the end of each year for the next 30 years. My interest rate is 10%, and I'm going to compound annually. So annually is not really a number, but it's going to tell us a letter for our formula. So now let's go through and write out all of our letters right here. So P, remember, stands for payment, and that is $1,000. That's how much I'm putting in the account every year. I'm going to do, what's next? R is interest rate. It says 10%, and remember, we need to move our decimal 2 to the left, so I'm going to put 0.10. N is the number of times per year that you get interest. So it says right here, it's compounded annually. That means we're getting interest one time per year. T is the number of years. So up here in our problem, it was 30. And we're looking for A because I'm looking to see how much money I'm going to have later. So after we write these out, let's put all these numbers in this formula before we do anything with our calculator. So A equals 1,000. If you look up here in this formula, it has a bracket, and then it also has these parentheses in here just to help you keep things straight and make sure you get all your containers. In the calculator, you'll actually do 2 parentheses right here, but let's keep it a bracket when we're writing on paper. So bracket, parentheses, 1 plus R over N, so 0.10 over 1, to the NT. So that's 1 times 30. And remember, you need these extra parentheses in the exponent or you won't get the right answer. And then minus 1, close my bracket, divided by parentheses R over N. So 0.10 over 1. So here's our scary formula. We did it. Whenever you're doing your written assignments and your group assignments, I need to see this formula so that I know that you know what you're doing. So if I see all of these numbers and they're all in the right spot, but you get something wrong from the calculator, then that helps me know that you know what you're supposed to be doing and you know where all the numbers go. You just messed up in your calculator a little bit. So the more you show me, the better off we're going to be. All right, let's get out our calculator. Okay, we're going to start with our 1,000. And then remember, this is just going to be 2 parentheses. So the first one stands for the bracket, and the second one is for this parenthesis. 1 plus 0.10 divided by 1, close it. And then we need to get up here in the exponent. So remember, if you have a TI calculator, you're going to look for that caret, and then you're going to open your parentheses. In this one, I use the X with the box. And I'm going to open parentheses and do 1 times 30 and close my parentheses. Now here's the most common mistake with this formula. This minus 1 is a big minus 1. It is not in the exponent. It's next to the exponent. So in the Casio calculator, you have to hit this right arrow to make your cursor come back down and be a big cursor and to make it know that you're not in the exponent anymore. The TI calculator, after you close the parentheses, will already know that you're not in the exponent anymore, but this Casio, you need to do that little step. And then do minus 1. And then close parentheses because I have this bracket right here, divided by another set of parentheses, 0.10 divided by 1, close. So here's my calculator. Let's hope that we get the right answer. I got 164,494.0227. So let's take a break and see if that makes sense. So if you put $1,000 into an account once a year for 30 years, obviously we need a number that's a lot bigger than 1,000. And if you do 1,000 times 30, that's 30,000, and then you add interest onto it. So just make sure that this number is big enough. If you got a small number like $7, something is wrong in your formula and you need to go back and double check. So the amount in our account is going to be 164,494. And remember, we're going to round to 2 decimal places because it's money. So I'm going to look at the number after the 2. It's a 2, so this will stay 0.02. So this is how much money I'm going to have in my retirement account. And then the next problem says find the interest. So if you're looking for the interest in a bank account, you need to figure out how much did you put in yourself first. So I need to go figure out how much money I actually put in this bank account. So I put in $1,000 once a year because it was annually for 30 years. So I did $1,000 times once a year times 30 years. So this is like P times N times T. And let's figure out how much that is. So 1,000 times 30 is 30,000. So this is the money that you put in yourself. You took this money and you put it in your bank account. And this is how much money was in the bank account after your 30 years of saving. So the difference between these two is your interest. So if I do 164,494.02 and I take out 30,000, make sure you get that 02 in there. Then I got paid $134,494 just in interest alone. And that is a pretty good deal. So retirement accounts can really earn you a lot of money. If you are saving until you retire and you're like 20 right now and you're going to retire at 65, that's 45 years that you can save a lot of money. And if you think about it, $1,000 per year is about like $80, $85 a month. So that's a chunk of change every month, but look at what you could earn. The bank paid you $135,000 and all you put in was $30,000. So something to think about. Okay, there should be a link that pops up right now to show you how to do example 2 in Excel. Okay, so the other thing we can do with an annuity formula is we can flip it around here and figure out if I have a goal amount for my annuity. So I'm trying to save up for a house, I'm trying to save up for a car, I'm trying to have however much money in my retirement account. If you know your goal, you can use this formula to figure out how much you should save every month to reach your goal. So this formula, all the letters stand for the same thing. So the A is the future value, that's the goal amount. Rate, number of times per year, the T is the number of years, and P is the payment amount. So all the letters stand for the same thing. It's just a different formula to figure out the other way. So let's come over here. You want to have $20,000 to use as a down payment for a home in 5 years. So let's start finding our important stuff. So you want to have $20,000, that's just your goal amount for a home in 5 years. So this is the time that you have to save by making regular end of the month deposits that pays 6% compounded monthly. How much should you deposit each month? So we're going to go look and see how much money you need to save every month for 5 years to have $20,000 at the end of 5 years. So our P is what we're looking for. We're trying to figure out how much should you deposit. Our A is the goal. So for this problem, it's 20,000. Our R was 6%, and remember we need to change it to a decimal, so 0.06. Our time is 5 years. Our N is going to be 12 because it says monthly right here, and there's 12 months in 1 year. So do we have all our letters? Okay, now we need to put all of this into this formula, and then for example number 4, I will show you how to do this in Excel also. So if you don't like this formula, there's another video coming. So the payment amount is equal to $20,000 times R over N, so 0.06 over 12, divided by bracket, parentheses, 1 plus R over N. In the exponent, remember you need extra parentheses for N times T. So 12 times 5, and then this minus 1 out here. So here is your formula. And again, if you guys will write out the formula, then I know that you know what you're supposed to be doing. And if something happens in the calculator, then at least we know you started with the right thing. And if you'll write it down for your math lab homework and you get the wrong answer, then you can come back here and figure out, oh, I forgot these parentheses, or I forgot to move my cursor in my calculator to make this minus 1 not be in the exponent anymore. It's easier for you to go back and find your mistake if you have everything written out. Okay, so let's multiply and divide that huge formula. Okay, got your calculator. So 20,000 parentheses 0.06 divided by 12 parentheses, and now we're going to divide. So divided by, remember we have a bracket and a parentheses, so I need 2 parentheses in the calculator. So open, open, 1 plus 0.06 divided by 12, close, go up into the exponent. If you got a TI, use your little caret button. 12 times 5, close those parentheses. Go back and make sure I open those, sorry. And then make sure you come out of the exponent if you've got this Casio to do your minus 1, and close that one for this little bracket right here, and then push enter. But before I push enter, are we looking for a small number or a big number? You're looking for a small number. I'm trying to figure out how much money I put in my account every month for 5 years to have a goal of 20,000. So I'm looking for a smaller number than 20,000. Now I got 286.656. So we're going to need to round that. So this is 286. Okay, I need to decide if that 5 is going to stay a 5 or go up. The number after it is 6, so that means that this 5 is also going to move up to a 6, so it'll be 0.66. So if you can find a bank account that pays 6% interest compounded monthly, and you have 5 years to save up for a $20,000 goal, you need to put in your bank account $286 every month to reach that goal, is what this is telling you. So then this next problem, how much of the $20,000 down payment comes from deposits and how much comes from interest? So remember, to find the interest, you have to do your payments times however many you make them. So your payment times N times T is how much money you put into the bank account. So if you're going to deposit 286.66, times N, which was 12. We're going to do that 12 times a year times 5 for 5 years. I'm going to do times 12 times 5. I am going to deposit myself $17,199.36. So this is how much money I put in the bank account. So I invested this much money. And then at the end of all that 5 years, I actually had $20,000 in my bank account. So how much comes from deposits? This is your deposits right here. So the money that you put in times however many times you put it in is your total deposits. The interest, you're going to do the goal minus deposits will give you your interest. So if you do 20,000 minus however much you deposited, so 17,199.36. This is going to tell you how much interest you got from the bank. So the bank gave you 2,800.64. So this is how much money you earned in interest from the bank. So over 5 years, $2,800 is not that bad. That's almost like, that's like 15% of your $20,000 down payment. So if you guys can use interest to your advantage, it can be really helpful, especially with a retirement account. Okay, a pop-up should come up and I'll do example 4 in Excel for you guys. All right, these next problems are about the stock market and reading stock tables. I don't really know much about this. My dad likes to play with the stock market, but I learned all of this at the same time as you guys. So if any of you guys are interested in investing, hopefully this will be a good starting point for you guys. So if there's a stock table, there's lots and lots of symbols on that stock table, and you have to know what they all mean so that you can make some decisions. So if it says 52-week high, it's pretty self-explanatory. It's the highest price at which a company traded during the past 52 weeks, which is the last year. So if you see 52-week high, you can tell the highest price for the stock in the past year. And then the lowest price, we'll say 52-week low. So that's the lowest price it's been over the past year. So if these two numbers are far apart, then your stock price is fluctuating. But if they're about the same or they're, then it's like a pretty safe bet. So if it says stock, that's the company name. So that'll say the actual company name, Amazon, Walmart, FedEx, Dillard's. The SYM on there refers to the symbol the company uses for trading. So if you have a company with a really long name, like Amazon United Holdings Incorporated, they don't want to write that out every single time they're doing stuff. So they'll use a symbol, and it's usually 3 letters that you can use for trading. So if you've ever watched like the news down at the bottom, it says like DOW for Dow and stuff. That's the symbols that are running across. DIV means dividends paid per share to stockholders last year. So if you own a stock and it earns money, then you get dividends paid back to you. So YLD stands for percent yield. And that is the interest. Like if you were going to put your money in a bank account and earn the same amount that you earned with these dividends, it's just telling you what percent interest you would earn. So it kind of gives you like a comparison to a bank account. The volume in hundreds says VOL 100s. So VOL 100s means how many they sold, but it's in hundreds. So if it says 12, it really means 1,200. If it says 150, it really means 15000. So whatever number is here, you have to add 2 zeros to it. Let's write that down. So add 2 zeros to whatever number you see right here. The highest price at which the company traded yesterday says is HI for high. So 52-week high means the highest it's been all year, but just high, HI, is how much the highest price it was yesterday. And low is the lowest price it was yesterday. And then the price at which shares are traded when it closed yesterday is close. So the stock market like opens and closes, and I'm not really sure how they do all that with time changes, but there is a cutoff point where you can't buy or sell anymore at the end of the day. And at the end of the day, they call it the close. And then so whatever price your stock was at the end of the day when they cut you off, that's what this number is going to tell you. Okay, and then the net change says net CHG. Net change is how much the price has changed between days. So between yesterday and today, it'll tell you how much it has changed. It's either gone up or it's gone down or it stays the same. And then the price to earnings ratio, that's a PE. And there's a formula over here. So it's yesterday's closing price divided by the annual earnings per share is how you can find the PE ratio. And then we need to add one more formula on here. So if I have the annual earnings per share, that's going to equal yesterday's close. So yesterday's closing price divided by the PE ratio. So this formula, the textbook wants you to use algebra to use this formula to come up with this one, but I'm just going to tell it to you right here. So here's that formula for you. All right, so here is my stock for Disney. I think, yep, this one's Disney. And we are going to read this and answer some questions about it. So here's my 52-week high, my 52-week low, my stock name, and my symbol, all these other things right here. So what were the high and low prices for the past 52 weeks? So that is just this. Now, the thing with the stock tables, it doesn't say any percents and it doesn't say any dollar signs, so you just have to add those in. So the high price for the last 52 weeks was $42.38. And then I'm going to put high. And then the low price for the past 52 weeks was $22.50. If you owned 3,000 shares of Disney stock last year, what dividend did you receive? So this dividend is 0.21. That means that if you take this number and you multiply it by 3,000 and then add a dollar sign, that's how much money you got last year. So you'll do 3,000 times 0.21. And I got 630. So that means last year, if you own 3,000 shares of Disney, they sent you a check for $630 for the year. So that's not bad. But 3,000 shares. And if you had to buy them for $42 each, you're not really making a ton of money off Disney. All right, what is the annual return for dividends alone? And how does this compare to a bank account? So the annual return is this yield right here, and it's 0.6. Okay, so remember, this is a percent, and it says 0.6. Okay, so come up here into the yield percent. This is 0.6%. So the annual return for dividends alone is 0.6%. And then how does this compare to a bank account that offers 3.5%? So this is much lower than a 3.5% bank account. So right now, Disney's not a great investment. How many shares of Disney were traded yesterday? So yesterday, that's the volume 100s. So it's this many shares, but remember, we have to add 2 zeros onto it. So it's going to be 115,900 with 2 extra zeros on there. So however many that is. 11,590,000 shares. That is a lot of Disney shares. What were the high and low prices for Disney shares yesterday? That's this. There's the high price yesterday was 32.5 and the low price yesterday was 31.25. So 32.50 was the high yesterday and the low yesterday was 31.25. So just don't mix up the 52-week and then the yesterday. So the ones that say 52-week is for the past year, and the ones that just say high and low were for yesterday. What was the price at which Disney shares traded when the stock exchange closed yesterday? So closed, that's the word here we're looking for. It's right here. So yesterday at close, it was $32.50. And then this little dot, dot, dot in the net change. Remember, net change tells you how much it changed from yesterday to today. This little dot, dot, dot means there was no change from yesterday to today. So it could be a positive number, which means the price went up, or a negative number, which means the price went down. But this little dot, dot, dot means no change from yesterday. Okay, so now I've got to compute Disney's annual earnings per share. So I have this formula. Annual earnings per share is yesterday's closing price per share. So that's $32.50. Divided by the PE ratio, which is right here, which is 43. So if you do 32.5 divided by 43, and you're going to want to change it to a decimal. MATLAB is going to want a decimal for this because it's money. So here's what I have in my calculator, this crazy number. So money is 2 decimal places, so I need to decide if that 5 is going to scooch up. The next number is a 5, so yeah, it's going to be 0.76. So that means that for every share of Disney that you own, you are earning 76 cents per year. So you can go buy one share for $32.50, and then the return on that investment is 76 cents for the year. All right, that's it for 8.5. Good luck with your work.